Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video, and this is a paid request for Andrew. Thank you so much for that. For those interested, requesting any type of videos, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, video game playthrough for hour or full playthrough, review, re-review, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a CashApp as well. Links are down below in the info box. I will get to as soon as I possibly can, and for those who sent them, thank you. I do appreciate it. And this is for the 1985 film Secret Admirer, which, to be honest, I had never heard of this film, but it's got a pretty decent cast. And first off, it's directed by David Greenwalt, and I knew that name sounded familiar because I remember watching, way back in the day, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is probably when I was in high school, and I would get home, and it'd be like kind of every day it would be on. It was either Sci-Fi Channel or somewhere. Anyway, and his name would pop up, at least for a bit, because he worked on the first couple seasons of Buffy. I think he also worked on the first couple seasons of Angel. So he directed this. And the cast, you got C. Thomas Howell, who of course was in the original The Hitcher, which I love that film. You also have Lori Loughlin, which was in the film Rad, which I remember. I actually got the Blu-ray over there. And she was on Full House. Of course, nowadays I always think of her because... I don't always think of her if I haven't thought of her until this review. But I always thought she was cute, and she always seemed nice, but I know she got into trouble with the law, her and her husband, where it was this like whole college bribery scandal thing, and I think like she got like, was it 2 years in prison or something? I can't remember, or 2 months? Maybe 2 years. I can't remember the details. Anyway, hopefully her life is cleaned up and gotten a bit better together. And yeah, I think because I grew up with Full House a lot back in the day, I always remember on that. But yeah, C. Thomas Howell, Lori Loughlin, you got Kelly Preston, may she rest in peace. She used to be married to John Travolta. She was in Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger. She's in this. Casey Shamasco, who I remember from Young Guns. He was also the star of this underrated film called 3 O'Clock High. He's in the film. The parents, Dee Wallace from E.T. and The Howling. She plays C. Thomas Howell's mom. And also his brother is Corey Haim. I'm like, oh shit, that's Corey Haim, who plays the little brother. So it's cool. Wow, Corey Haim's mom is Dee Wallace. I was telling them about that. I went, oh wow, that's cool. So she was the mother of Drew Barrymore in E.T. Now she's the mother of fucking Corey Haim in this movie. I mean, I didn't know Corey Haim was in it. I mean, he doesn't have a big role, but he's in a couple scenes. Also, the other adults. The dad is Cliff DeYoung, who I remember from this film called Pulse from the 80s. He's done other movies as well. The girl that C. Thomas Howell has a crush on, Kelly Preston, her parents, her dad's played by Fred Ward from Tremors, and I love Fred Ward, but he rests in peace. So I'm like, oh cool, he's in. So I was like, wow, I didn't know this had this kind of cast, but that was really cool. Casey Shamasco and Fred Ward and Dee Wallace and Corey Haim. This is neat. So the plot should be called Misunderstandings, the movie, because there's a lot of misunderstandings kind of pushed together, where C. Thomas Howell's in school, his best bud is Lori Loughlin, and they've been friends since they were kids. You pretty much know where this is going. Even though she has a crush on him and she hasn't said anything, he's oblivious to it, and his eyes are set on the popular girl played by Kelly Preston. Kelly Preston's going out with this guy who's a bit older than her, and C. Thomas Howell just can't stop yapping at her heels, wanting her. he has a group of friends that they can go into an attic and party and drink beer and so forth. Tasha Shamasco, which I really enjoyed him in this. He was a lot of fun. Also, Courtney Gaines from Children of the Corn. He's one of the group. There's another guy, and I don't remember his name, but I'm like, this guy looks so damn familiar. I couldn't figure out who he was, but I'm like, I know I've seen this guy before in something. But anyway, one thing leads to another, and C. Thomas Howell gets a letter. Tasha Shamasco grabs it, reads it to the group. C. Thomas is like, I didn't even know I had this letter. And he's got a secret admirer. Of course, we find out Lori Loughlin wrote it, but he's wondering, oh, maybe Kelly Preston wrote it. Just hopes and being hopeful about it. So one thing leads to another, and he wants help. Well, he writes a letter and wants Lori Loughlin to give it to Kelly Preston. And no, that's not the police. If you heard a siren, it's just a TV on in the other room. So what happens is, Lori Loughlin, she thinks this letter sucks, so she rewrites it to be much more poetic, gives it to Kelly Preston, and Kelly is wowed by the letter. And eventually she finds out that it came from C. Thomas. And then she's like, oh wow, if someone were to write this kind of letter, I gotta check this guy out. And they start to go out for a bit. Meanwhile, this is where all the misunderstandings come about. Haim is snooping and stealing money from C. Thomas Howell's room. And when they release another, that letter he steals to read it as he's eating his cereal with chocolate syrup. And then Dee Wallace, what is that? What are you doing? Sorry, Mom, gotta go. Trust me, it tastes good. And then she tries it. And then she tries it some more. Then she finds the letter, and then she assumes that this letter was for her husband, Cliff DeYoung. And he's like, oh my God, someone is... Granted, why would you wonder, like, you do have a son like C. Thomas Howell. Why do you not think this letter was for him? Or I don't know why she didn't think that. Guess she's... No one would ever write this way to my son. Maybe that's why. Or if it's such a secretive letter, why would it be right there on the table that Haim was just reading? But Dee Wallace comes to the conclusion that someone wrote this for Cliff DeYoung and that her husband's having an affair. Then somehow the letter gets to Cliff DeYoung's book, and he goes to this class where this other woman is teaching. And then he thinks that letter is from her. And so when she's talking about stuff, he thinks she means something else and tries to kiss her and says, well, you know, I've always had a thing for you for a while. And then somehow, from a turn of events, she gets the letter and thinks it's from Cliff DeYoung. And then Fred Ward finds the letter and thinks his wife's cheating on him. And so Cliff DeYoung and the other girl, they park and they try to kiss and they go, oh, I don't know about this. And then they see Thomas Howell and Kelly Preston. My son and your daughter over there. We need to get out of here. And as soon as they leave, Fred Ward and Dee Wallace get there. And they're like pissed off about what happened. Then they say, screw it, we should do the same thing. But then they see C. Thomas Howell and Kelly Preston's over there. And they go, oh, screw it, we need to get the hell out of here. That's what I mean by this is like Misunderstandings the movie. And it's trying to be like kind of those farce. Like some people say like French comedies. Kind of like Oscar. Which some people compare that to kind of those either French comedies or kind of those older films back in the day where one guy thinks this means something. This whole misunderstanding for comedy. And I will admit, I mean, there's a part of me that goes, okay, well, just if you just do 2 or 3 things, this will all be cleared up. But like literally, they get together and go, why do you write this? I didn't write this. Why'd you write this? I didn't write this. And then you would go, oh, by the way, you have teen kids. Ask them about it. It's like they forget they have teen kids and they can't get sexy letters. But I think what I liked about the film was the cast. I thought C. Thomas Howell did fine as the lead. It's a hell lot better than Soul Man. I'll say that. He felt more comfortable in this film. Gee, I wonder why. Just that we're doing blackface. I thought Lori Loughlin was very cute. I always thought she looked cute. I always thought she looked great. I think it was her in this Keanu Reeves film I reviewed the night before or night, something like that, which I liked her in that. I always liked Lori Loughlin. Again, I always thought she was cute. I always thought she was beautiful. Taylor Preston is having fun being the shallow, bitchy lady. So, of course, Sita Sao realizes how shallow she is and thus doesn't want to be with her, has the opportunity to make it with her, but doesn't go through with it. Then cool to see a fairly young Corey Haim in a couple scenes he was in. Casey Shamaska was a lot of fun. There's a point where the group piss off these people. They try to drive through this fence, but the van gets stuck in the fence, so they abandon it. And he's sad because he doesn't want to abandon his van. Then later on, he's working at this fast food place, and Laura Loughlin finds out that Casey Shamaska lied about them banging each other. So she's like, did you say this and that? Then she goes up to his van and bashes his fixed up van. No, I just fixed that. And then Lori Loughlin tells a lie about him to Kelly Preston, so Kelly Preston throws stuff at him. So Casey Shamaska ain't having a fun week. Fred Ward, he was a lot of fun. Some of his dialogue. Like when he sees his daughter with the other, at time, current boyfriend. Take your hands on my daughter, Fruit Lips. Because, of course, Fred Ward is a cop as well. And I like the line, you dear pregnant, I'll blow your dick off. Or there's a bit where after the whole thing where he's with Dee Wallace and it's awkward, they gotta head out, he comes back, C. Thomas Howell's there, he's like, hello, Mr. I forget his last name. And Fred Ward just looks at him, oh, Mr. Fimple, I think Mr. Fimple. Fred Ward just looks at C. Thomas and goes, fuck you. And enters the house. I thought that was funny. So, as lame as it sounds, what I also liked is just how 80s it was. Which makes sense, it was 1985. But somehow I think just that nostalgia, I'm missing those kind of films. The look, the sound, the music, the scores by John Hammer, the guy who did Miami Vice, he also did I Come in Peace. Great score. John Hammer. I didn't mind his score for this. Songs were fine. Nothing that stood out to me, but they were fine for what they needed to accomplish. The way people talked, where they're un-PC. I mean, one of the first lines C. Thomas Howell has is talk about Kelly Preston's boyfriend and going, yeah, aren't they at that big homo house? Which you couldn't fucking say that today. And that's the thing, just all the cast members and the way they work together, and again, C. Thomas Howell I thought did fine. Lori Loughlin was cute. There were moments that it made me chuckle. It's not a comedy I was blown away by, but I had enough fun that I liked it for what it was. Like I said, if you're into those 80s type of movies, there's some fun to be had. I think because the cast, the characters make it work. Casey Shamaska and the buddies, they were fun to see. Sometimes I wish they were in it a bit more, but they were fun to see. I thought C. Thomas Lori Loughlin had some good chemistry. They had some nice sweet moments. Spoilers, pretty much the parents find out they screwed up. both C. Thomas and Taylor Preston mentioned, those are my letter, why are you messing with my business? So the parents realize they've screwed up. Although technically Clip the Young, the fact that he was willing the dole for it, shows a little bit, suspect there. A little bit of suspicion. I think is valid. C. Thomas Howell says no to Taylor Preston because he knows how shallow she is. Realizes it. Now he goes up to Lori Loughlin and gives his heart out. And her reaction I didn't really understand. Like, he's pretty much telling what she always wanted to hear. That, I thought I wanted her, I don't, because she wasn't you. And two, we maybe try going out with each other. And she just calls him an asshole. I didn't really understand that. I didn't really get that. Like, this is what you wanted the whole time. And you're the one that never had the guts to tell him. But now he's actually telling you something that you could have done. This whole time you could have told him how you felt. But now he's telling you the truth. Giving his heart out. You just pretty much tell him to go fuck himself. I didn't understand that. I didn't get it. You just say, well, she doesn't want to admit her feelings. But calling him an asshole isn't really the way to do it, is it? So she's ready to leave. He realizes that she wrote it because he recognizes the handwriting. Goes off. She's on a boat. He jumps to the water. She hesitates, jumps to the water. They kiss. I'm like, for Lori Loughlin, what the fuck has changed since last night and here? I just seen more of how gung-ho he is. But he was gung-ho to tell you the truth the night before, but whatever. Whatever. So I was a bit confused by that stuff. Listen, I would like to have seen a bit more of Casey Shamasto and his buddies, because I thought they were fun. Maybe develop them a bit more. Maybe have some kind of side story that's going on with them. And those characters. But overall, if you're into the cast and you're into those totally 80s movies, there's some fun to be had. I enjoyed this for what it was. I wasn't bored. I thought there was some nice chemistry between some of the characters. Some people like Fred Ward, Tate Shamastro stuck out in a good way for me. I'm glad I saw this. It's not a favorite. It's not like, I'm going to go out and buy it or anything. But as a one-time watch, it was cute. I didn't mind it. So that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye for now.